my name is McLeod Darpoh, McLeod Eleanor Turkett Darpoh, and I'm the daughter of Bernice Jane Letitia Eastman, who is the daughter of Nathan Eastman. So Bernice, my mother, through Pathina Laura Askey and Nathan Eastman. And my grandfather, Nathan Eastman, of course, I'm the oldest grandchild of Nathan Eastman. So, I wear that with pride. So, so those are my parents. My father, Andrew James Turkett, my mother, Bernice Eastman. I did not get to meet my great grandparents because by the time I was born, Nathan Eastman had already died. So I really didn't get to know them at all. But I got to know one grand aunt and Jeannie, and it was through her that we were able to visit Crozierville, when we were much younger. I think we were just teenagers, just entering our teens when we went to Crozierville to visit Aunt Jeannie. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet my my grandfather, Nathan Eastman, nor my great-grandparents. I remember we went to Crozierville, as I said, when we were much younger. We'll go during the vacation time. And Aunt Jeannie's place was the only place we really, really loved to live, to go to visit. So that alone tells you that, kids, she was very, very quiet, a very nice person, very loving, and very accommodating. Because, kids, we wanted to play around, and we wanted to be around those family members that would tolerate most of our craziness. So Aunt Jeannie was that kind of a person. I remember Aunt Jeannie was tall and dark and very, very strong. She was a very, very strong woman. And so we would go there, and then through her, we'll go to visit Aunt Lou and Aunt Sarah, but really we always wanted to be with Aunt Jeannie because she was just so sweet. She was just so sweet. In fact, when it was time for us to leave, we didn't want to go back home, but we had to. But she was sweet. And I'm the first of 4 children. And she educated us, all 4 of us. And the most striking thing about her and her strength is in the fact that she reared us, provided for us without husbands, or I should say fathers, because our father died when we were very, very young. And so she had to work real hard to have educated us to the extent that we are able to give back to Liberia. I'm an economist, and of course I worked in government for many years. She produced a lawyer and a historian, my sister, and then my 2 brothers. Each one of them has 2 different degrees. Charles is an engineer, and another degree in mathematics. Takwali is chemist and a computer expert. So this is what makes her very special and very unique, because all on her own, she was able to produce children that became responsible and was able to give back to their country, and now giving even back to this country that we are in. So she was hardworking. She was always out there looking for me, even though she did not have the kind of support that she needed, you know, from the husbands. She was married to our father, but he died, and he was out there. They were separated for a while. So she had to work real hard. So this is what's so special about Mommy. She never gave up, not on herself or on her kids. And she was able to provide for us. There were very few scholarships, available at that time. And so for our education, she provided for all of it, most of it. And, this is what makes her real special. I think we are blessed. We are very, very blessed. And as I said, she's a very strong woman. At 91, Mommy is 91. She just turned 91, but she does not look it. She does not act it. I mean, she moves up and down. She does quite a few things for herself. And I think it's the blessings that our grandmother was led by our grandmother, her mother. My grandmother she died in her 106th year. And Mommy is already 91. So we are anxiously looking forward to her reaching that mark of 100 and even surpassing it. And I'm hoping that the same holds true for me, because now I have grandkids and even one great grand, and I'm really, really looking forward to being around to see them grow up. But for her age, I think I can say that she's a superhero. She's very, very strong. When I was very young, my grandmother was very, very strict on us. She did not allow me to go out much. So I did not begin dancing until I went to high school. You won't believe it. I went to Bethany. And at that time, we were doing the twist. The twist was popular, but for me, the most popular dance was the slow dance, if you know what I mean. But we did the twist, the jitterbug, at that time doing jitterbug and the twist, those were the popular dances at the time. But, I used to like the slow dance more. I certainly do, and it's very, very sad. But I have always said, and I continue to say, we need to start from the beginning. We need to teach our kids how to read. We need to provide for them facilities where they can learn to read, because the educational system in Liberia is very, very poor and is wanting. I mean, and the facilities are not available. So you see little kids, no school buildings nearby for them to go to school. And so they are hanging around at ages 8, 9, and 10, and they still have not gone to school. So I think we need two things. One, we need to provide enough facilities, because to tell you the truth, ABC is ABC. I mean, seriously, you don't need any a big, beautiful or wonderful surroundings to make sure that the kids get the basics. And so I would think that we should go back to basics, be able to provide education for the elementary and primary children at a reasonable age. And then we should make available the opportunities for them to learn to read. Because you see, when you can read, and that's going back to basics, when you can read, you can become self-educated. Sometimes you don't really need the formal education to be able to survive and to be able to decide whether or not you want a career, to be able to make a living. So it is very, very sad. The educational system in Liberia is wanting. I mean, it's wanting. And I'm hoping that I can get into Crozierville sometime and look into that, because I'm doing that in Arlington right now. My attention is focused on the schools in Arlington, and I'm trying to see if I can get them to go back to basics. We built a library in memory of my grandmother, because she was a school teacher for many, many, many years. I think while you were interviewing Mommy, she told you about her mother and the schools. So we've put in a library there in her memory. And we also have a reading room for the kids. And these are the little things that I think we need to provide for our children in Liberia now. But most of all, we need to make sure that the little ones get the basics of ABC. I mean, primary, what we call kindergarten and primary education. We should ensure that there are enough facilities for each of those kids, wherever they are, to be able to get a primary education. So, what holds true for Liberia right now are the organizations that are formed abroad to reach back and help. What we are talking about now is reaching back, giving back to those places we came from. Right now we have the Arlington Reconstruction and Development Association. And I'm not aware, I do know that the families in Crozierville, we have different families that are meeting and coming together now. And so we can start from the families. And hopefully we can build up associations that can reach back and help to make sure that, for example, the educational system, the health system, that our people get the basics to be able to survive. And of course, the children being our priority. So right now, ARDA, Arlington Reconstruction and Development Association, is a strong organization. And we are focused right now on the school, but we also help the clinics, to ensure that there's medication. And, we're trying to make sure that we bring up those kids in the proper way. So I would suggest that these kinds of organizations be formed. And they are nonprofit organizations. We are 501c3. The ARDA is a 501c3 organization. And so we go through the organization to help the folks in Arlington. And of course, I'm there. So most of the time, my attention is with the school. So those organizations can be formed. And those of us that are home, can supervise, keep our eyes and ears open, and help in whatever way we can. Some of us are willing to do that. In fact, I'm home now. I'm not doing too much of anything except for taking care of my grandkids. So it would be my pleasure to work with a group of people there to ensure that we can reach back and help the kids in Crozierville. That clinic was built and provided by the Self-Help Association. Mm-hmm. At that time, it was the Arlington Development Association. And that was based in Liberia, in Arlington. where you had myself, people like M. Clement Wright, Sariah Titus, the late Sariah Titus, and the late Spencer Clark, quite a few of us, came together and we built that clinic. And so for me, it's an honor to continue to be there to supervise and oversee. There will be problems everywhere. There are complaints. Many times there are no drugs. And right now I'm trying, while I'm in the States, I'm trying to see if I can find some Argentinians because there's so many things that are not being used here that we can use in Liberia. So I'm trying to see if we can have some drugs sent back to Liberia to help the clinic there in addition to what the government can provide. So yes, we do have a clinic in Arlington. Parents want to be remembered if we don't let what all they worked for in these areas just vanish. For example, the Eastmans, right now we meet once a month. You have the Eastman family here that come together very frequently, not as regularly as we do in Liberia, but they are there, simply put, we have each other's backs. There's anything that's happening, the Eastmans are there. In fact, they have a website, they have a page, and they post things there all the time. So we are in communication with each other. And the same holds true for the Eastman family in Liberia. We meet once a month, and we've tried to generate that closeness. So, and now we believe that if you have these two families, one group of families here in America and one group of families in Liberia, we can work together hand in hand to be able to make sure that the legacy of our grandparents remain unscaled. So right now we are trying to look into the possibility of building a guest house in Crozierville, so that anytime we have family members or friends who come to Liberia and we want to encourage them to come home, be it Crozierville or where have you, come home and see what can be done, to ensure that whatever our old people left will not just go to waste. So we want to try to sustain the legacy of our grandparents and our great-grandparents. And this is a good way to do it. We keep in touch, encourage people to build, there, so that our presence will always be felt, and that we'll try to keep the name as well as the legacy of our grand and great-grandparents. And it's a pride. I think it's the pride that is developed. And again, like I say, if we keep in contact, we observe birthdays, we observe anniversaries, we have, when there's a problem, deaths and births, and we just have that close connection. And with that, you have there's power in strength, there's power in numbers. So we can always talk about what we can do to ensure the legacy of our grandparents and our great-grandparents. I'm there, I'm in Liberia, and I go to Crozierville, or through there at least. I hate to have Crozierville or see Crozierville as just a place where we go for Decoration Day. We want to make it so and ensure that we become a part of the people that are still living there. Well, there hardly anyone around who knew our grandparents and our great-grandparents now, but we would like for them to get to know us as products of those names. I'm sure they have been hearing, and they know we're there. So right now, I'm very excited about being home, and I would like, there's anything I can do while I'm there to make sure that we keep that bond. You know, I'm prepared to do it. But I would hope that we can bring back that feeling of really wanting to be there for our people, you know, and of course encourage our kids and our grandkids for them to understand that there is a place called home. And I know sometimes we give up and say, oh, you know, we're not going back. I'm not going back there. So why should I invest there? Or why should I be concerned? But your kids might see something that you cannot see, fall in love with Liberia, and want to go back. So at least we know that there is a place called home that we can go back to. So I encourage everybody to come. You might not want to live there permanently, but just have the feeling in the heart that this was once where you were, and your kids might one day want to be there too. And then your grandkids might want to be there too, you know, because there will come a time when they will need some other place to go, you know, even if it's just for vacation. We have either split peas and chicken gravy, or collard greens, or cabbage and collard greens mix. You know, that is the typical upriver when you mix that collard greens and cabbage together, you know, and cook it with the chicken and all that stuff. And because we don't eat ropamon on Sunday, you know, at least we don't eat flour sauce and palm butter, you know. So the typical food is either jollof rice, split peas and gravy, collard greens, cabbage and collard greens mixed. You know, those are the foods that we eat on Sunday. Well, for us here, for me today, I made some stuffed squash, you know, stuffed squash with some potato salad and some cucumbers and onion salad, you know. So that's what we had for dinner. Stuffed squash. I stuffed the squash with ground turkey meat, you know, and baked it in the oven. Gingerbread, cassava bread, you know, all using our local raw materials. That's another thing. You know, that is a serious thing for Liberia, you know. So for me, you know, the cornbread and the shortbread, yes, you know, but the biscuits, you know, we ate those biscuits. I remember very well that those are some of the things I remember, Jeannie, you know, baking those biscuits in the morning, you know, biscuits and the cornbread and the shortbread and the rice bread and the cassava bread, the potato poons, you know, those are the things we miss. Right now, nobody's producing molasses with all the sugar cane that we have growing in that area there. So these are some of the things we have to go back to. I heard my great-grandfather was a farmer, and you know, he made molasses and sugar, but mommy told you all of that. Molasses and sugar and all of that thing, and even exported it. Right now, you can hardly find those things around when you go. So in addition to the educational thing, we want to encourage farming, you know, agriculture. Let us go back and try to feed ourselves, if nothing else, you know.